This is Rose McDonough, and thanks for joining me today. I already started without you. I have here in a pot, I have some water, I have some cinnamon, a little bit of salt, the juice from mandarin orange cups, and I have just brought it to a boil. Why? Because I'm going to be making my own cranberry sauce for the holidays that are upcoming. And these are things that you can make ahead of time. So I've taken my mandarin oranges and I've just cut them into small pieces, actually using my kitchen shears inside, and just and I'm also going to add an apple. So of course I started this recipe from 2 peas in their pod, and then like every other thing that I do, I adapt it for whatever it is that I want it to be. So I have in here the 2 cups of mandarin oranges. It's 2 small apples or a really large apple. I think my directions say about a cup of it. I'm not really sure. And to this little bit of juice that's going on, I'm adding just over 4 cups of cranberries. It says 4 cups, but I'll tell you, they come in 12-ounce packages, and so I just add in the extra, which makes it just about 6 cups. I've rinsed all these, and any of them that looked bad, they start to be softened up, I've gotten rid of. And there's going to be a little bit more water that's going to come in with this. And I'm going to cook this until the cranberries, sorry, I was concentrating, until the cranberries start to pop. And you're probably wondering, why would you do this? You can buy a can of cranberry sauce, lady. Are you crazy? Yeah, I know, but if you've never eaten this, that's why you think I'm crazy. I've eaten it. I know how delicious it is. There was a woman from my church, Sally Harvey, and she used to make the most wonderful. Her husband got rid of the recipe. No one knows what the recipe was. Other people have eaten it. This is what I came up with that seemed to be the closest. I'm going to drop that temperature down a little bit as I talk about this. This is what it's going to look like when it's all done and chilled. It freezes really well, so anytime you can get cranberries, which isn't often, it's usually around now, which is coming up on Thanksgiving, I will get them and I will make it, and I'll put them into containers, let it cool completely, then put it into the freezer, and you can eat it later. My friend Rachel says it's delicious on ice cream. I personally have never eaten it like that. Let me stir this up a minute here, and then I want to come and show you some other things. I don't know what you can see. Let me just tip this to make sure that you can see. You saw how the cranberries were, and now they're just going to get shiny. And after they're done being shiny, this is what they look like when they start out, and then they get shinier. And if you've never seen the inside of a cranberry, I thought this might be a nice chance for you to be able to see that. To see that it looks like it has a little seed in there. They're very tangy. Sour might be a good way of saying it, which is why we have a cup of sugar added into here. So that's what's happening with my recipe. You probably didn't hear that. It's actually cranberry starting to pop a little bit. So I'm going to stir it back up again, and I want to tell you, why am I making this now? It's certainly not Thanksgiving today. No, but it's Thanksgiving very soon. And since I like food so much, you know, I weigh 100 and too much because I love food so much. I make a big deal about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is truly a feast at my house. Here's things that we will have. Of course, turkey, but I'm going to do turkey breast, not a stuffed turkey. And stuffing, green bean casserole, spinach gratin dish, coleslaw, gravy, because you cannot have anything without gravy. My friend Rachel will bring the mashed potatoes, maybe, or I will make the mashed potatoes. A corn pudding that my family really likes, the cranberry sauce that I'm making now, sweet potato casserole, cheesecake that I'll probably make in the Instant Pot, maybe a sheet cake, possibly ice cream, that's not a definite yet, and of course pies, and maybe the apple crisp. Oh my gosh, how the heck do you make all that? Well, you can't make it all at once. I have to make some things ahead of time. So of course I cut my bread up because I want it to be stale anyway. So I cut my bread up ahead of time. That's a day or 2 beforehand. I can get certain things made. I can do the coleslaw. I'm making the cranberry sauce ahead of time. I can get my pies ready ahead of time. But then what becomes the problem is, what the heck do you do when you've got to get that whole meal together? New cooks, they have trouble getting 3 things, like a meat and maybe a starch and a vegetable done at the same time. How would they ever be able to get something like this done? Well, of course, I wouldn't be telling you about this if I didn't have an answer for you. So I come up with this really weird list that I do. I end up converting everything to 350 degrees because that's what works better for me. If my recipe said it had to be 375, I just adjust for it. If my recipe said it had to be 325, again, I adjust for it. So it's 350. And then my next thing, so over here is whatever it is that I'm making. And then I have how many hours I believe that I have to make it, or how many minutes. And of course I've picked the temperature of 350. So then, yes, people get mad at me because I like to eat my dinner earlier in the day than other people do. So I have things that are going into the oven at 1:15, at 1:30, and I just, as I get everything in, I've preset it up, and then as I'm putting it in the oven, I'm checking off. Okay, it's in the oven. Okay, it's in the oven. Okay, this is in the oven. Other things may be going on in a crock pot in case, and if so, I'll just make a notation for that. That's how you do it. That's how you make a big meal and make it seem effortless. My cousin Sharon said to me one day about, you're making all this food for all these people. How do you do it? I'm organized. That's what you have to do. It doesn't mean that you can't make a meal if you're not organized. It just helps a lot. Total aside, today I heard that you can now buy insurance. It's through Whole Foods. You can buy insurance in case your turkey didn't turn out the way you thought it should be. Really? You're going to eat the dinner anyway, and then who's going to prove that it was wrong? How much are you paying for the insurance to justify that? Hey, I have no idea, but apparently there's all kinds of things that go on. All right, so this is going on. We're not going to wait for 10 minutes, but I want to just show you a scoop of it. So if you look at it, you can see that the oranges are actually breaking down so much, as are my apples. You do see that some of the cranberries have already popped, but I need to cook this until all of the cranberries pop. So it does take a full 10 minutes, sometimes 12 minutes. So we'll come back in a second when everything's popped and ready to go. And I guess you see I'm using my handy dandy rubber scraper to keep scraping off the sides. In just 10 minutes, this has become so thick and so beautiful. I used a different apple than what I normally use, and I noticed it hasn't broken down as quickly. It does not matter. Who cares if you bite into a little bit of apple, and it's going to have all that luscious flavor around it. It's going to be just as good whether it broke down and looked like applesauce or not. It's really thickened up, which is just what we want it to do. I'm going to turn this off. I'll let it cool. Once it finishes cooling, then I'm going to go ahead and put it into containers, and I'm going to put it away, and we're going to have it for Thanksgiving in a couple of days. And I didn't have to do any work to make this on Christmas morning or Thanksgiving morning, or I don't know, when else would you want to eat this? I don't know when else you can get cranberries. Those are the 2 times that I make the cranberry sauce. All right, so that's it. It's still bubbling, and I've turned it off because it's really hot in there. It'll be so good. Just trust me on this one. It's way better than the canned. I promise you. All right, so let's pull some names out of here. See what we have. Nancy Jant. I don't know if I said it right. It's Jandt. Thank you for being a subscriber. And I've been just recently going on and looking at people who've left comments, and I've had so much fun. And Mr. Foodie Bear, oh, I saw some of your stuff too. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. For the rest of you, try this recipe and then give me a comment back how your family liked it for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whenever you tried to make it. And those of you who catch me on Facebook, thanks also for doing that and for leaving comments. Like, subscribe. Oh, I always forget about that ring that bell, Brooke. You forget to remind me of that. I don't even know what ring the bell is. I always say that. But whatever. Enjoy the recipe. It is worth the time. It took me, yes, 15 minutes by the time I put the ingredients together and I cooked it. It is a worthwhile 15 minutes of your time for your taste buds to enjoy some food. Thanks, and we'll see you again.